Hi, this is Professor Bethany, and today we are going to be doing another cool experiment, and this one is the Bouncy Egg Experiment. So for this one, what we're going to need is a clear container, a place you can make a little bit of a mess on, some eggs, and some vinegar. I usually use white vinegar. It usually works pretty good, but there's a lot of different types of vinegar, so maybe you want to experiment around and see what different kinds do. So first off, we're going to try and make an egg bounce. But does an egg bounce all on its own? Well, we're here. Let's try it. Can I bounce a regular egg I get from just any old egg carton? Ooh. I don't think they bounce normally. Well, while we're at it, why don't we take a look at what makes up an egg? So it looks like an egg has a hard outer shell. It's got a yolk in the middle, which mine kind of broke a little. And then it's got this white liquid called an alum. And then, if you really take a look at the shell, you'll notice there's some thin, clear membrane on the inside of the shell. If we could get off the shell, I bet we could take a look at our egg, and maybe then it would bounce. So what we're going to do is we're going to dissolve the outside of our eggshell using an acid. Vinegar is a pretty strong acid. So let's see if we can dissolve it by putting an egg in a jar. All right, so I got an egg here. I'm going to put him in my jar really carefully. I don't want him to crack. And then I'm going to pour some vinegar on him. Now, vinegar is an acid. Acids will react with bases. And calcium can actually be dissolved by an acid. Now, I've only got my egg about half submerged in this, but if you take a really close look at it, you can see it's making little bubbles. Those little bubbles are carbon dioxide, like what you see in soda pop. Carbon dioxide bubbles are forming because the acid is breaking off carbon dioxide molecules from the bigger calcium carbonate molecule that makes up the shell. So the shell is made of a big molecule, and it's breaking off a little piece that's carbon dioxide. So it forms little bubbles. If we let the bubbles keep going, they'll dissolve the whole shell. So I don't really want to wait a long time. So I went ahead and I left an egg in the vinegar for 2 days. Now, if your acid, your vinegar is really strong, you might only have to leave it in for 1 day. Or if it's not very strong, maybe you'll need to leave it in for 3 days. But after 2 days, for me, my egg looked like this. Look at that egg. Whoa, that was pretty cool. Let's watch that in slow motion so we can really see it bounce. That's pretty cool. But what happens if we drop it from a further height? Let's try it. Oof, not so great now. Whoa, but it can't bounce all the time. This was wrapped around my egg. This is actually membrane that goes on the inside of your egg shell. So, your egg shell is surrounded by a membrane, and that membrane is what makes it so your egg can bounce. Now, once you've made a bouncy egg, the big question is, how high can you bounce your egg? I ended up about here before my egg broke. Maybe you can get your egg to bounce higher if you soak it longer in your vinegar. So why don't you try it out? Test it and see how high you can get your egg to bounce. Now, another cool thing to note is, should you really eat raw eggs? Nah, raw eggs aren't very safe. So when you're doing this experiment, make sure you guys wash your hands after you experiment with your eggs, because this is still a raw egg even though I put it in vinegar. So you want to make sure you wash your hands pretty often with it. That's a safe practice that'll keep you from spreading germs and maybe getting sick. So make sure you do this with your parents' permission, because they may not like it if you just use all the eggs in your egg carton. And have some fun making some cool bouncy eggs in a safe place that you don't mind making a mess. That's all for today. See you guys.